the other children were regular children, and they participated in all the childhood activities. And this place was oftentimes full of children from the neighborhood. So much so until sometimes it was thought that I was maybe running a neighborhood playground. The Virgin.
Luther King.
Make us free. You shall make us free.
Most people know how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. died. Few people know how his mother died, not in the streets, not at a rally, not at the hands of segregationists. She was murdered inside a church during Sunday worship while playing the organ. Her name was Alberta Williams King, and her death is one of the most tragic and misunderstood chapters in American history. Today, we're going to talk about what actually happened, why it happened, and how misinformation has distorted this story over time. This isn't about conspiracy. This isn't about blame games. This is about historical truth. Alberta Williams King was not a public firebrand. She wasn't a political figure in the spotlight. She was a mother, a church musician, and a pillar of her community. Born in 1904, Alberta King grew up deeply rooted in the Black church. She later became the organist and choir director at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, a role she held for decades. This was the same church where her husband, Martin Luther King Sr., served as pastor, and the same church where her son, Martin Luther King Jr., preached. And she helped shape the spiritual foundation of one of the most important civil rights leaders in American history, but she lived a quiet life, largely away from the cameras. By 1974, she had already endured unimaginable loss. Her son, MLK Jr., was assassinated in 1968. The civil rights movement had fractured, the country was exhausted, and yet she remained faithful, still attending church, still playing the organ, still serving. It was Sunday morning, June 30th, 1974, and worship service was underway at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Alberta King sat at the organ playing the Lord's Prayer, and congregants were seated. The atmosphere was peaceful. Then, without warning, a young man stood up from the congregation. His name was Marcus Wayne Cheneau. He pulled out 2 handguns and he opened fire.
I was sitting in the back, and that's why I got a better look at him. Because as he was shooting, it was such a shock. I was standing there. I couldn't believe. I thought it was something like a toy gun with blinks or something. And,
so you down the front or in the middle of the congregation?
But after he shot, I seen some people falling. Then I knew. I said, yeah, he's shooting for real. Then this gentleman says, fall to the floor, and I fell and started crying. Everyone started falling and crawling.
Where was he located?
He was located on the right side of the pulpit.
He went directly to the front of the church?
No, he stood up and just started shooting.
He was sitting down near
He was
the front.
sitting, that's right, and he just stood up and started shooting.
Did he shoot up toward the choir? And
He was shooting everywhere. He was shooting like this. He just shooting like that.
Where was Mr. King seated?
Yeah. Just an unspeakable tragedy. When I heard about it, I came immediately. It's almost as if the King family is being tested. I've never seen a family suffer so much tragedy in my life. The city loves that family. This nation loves that family. And what we want to do now is try to comfort them and the family of Deacon Boykin and the families of the others who have been injured.
So Cheneau fired multiple shots inside the church. Alberta King was struck in the head. A church deacon, Edward Boykin, was also killed trying to intervene. Another congregant was wounded. Panic erupted. Screams, people diving for cover, absolute chaos inside a place meant for worship. Alberta King was rushed to the hospital. She did not survive.
A loud noise and pow! Miss King said, ooh, that sounds like a bomb. And all of a sudden, he just was on the seat when I saw him. It was done so quickly. And you just heard the shot, heard him shooting. Bow, bow, bow. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. Then people began falling on the seats and running and getting panicky, Because I tried to get on the seat myself, but I knew he had already shot me when I tried to get under the seat. But what I thought, if he shot me once and he was right there by me, he might shoot me again. So I was trying to get under the seat to keep from getting killed.
The police feel that they've got an open and shut case against Chenault. But to make sure that he was operating alone, they need to trace his movements as closely as possible. So they're asking any taxi drivers who might have carried this man yesterday morning to contact the homicide squad. Robert Cohen, WSB News.
Marcus Wayne Chenault was 23 years old. After the shooting, he made his motives disturbingly clear. He told authorities that he belated Christianity was an enemy of black people. He specifically targeted black ministers, claiming they were misleading the community. Chenault later admitted he had intended to kill Martin Luther King Sr., but when he saw Alberta King nearby, he shot her instead. Important point here, and this matters. There is no evidence that Chenault was acting as part of an organized plot. No evidence of orders, no evidence of coordination. Historians and courts concluded that his actions stemmed from extreme personal beliefs, religious delusions, and mental instability. Over the years, some narratives have exaggerated or distorted this aspect of the story, often to push ideological agendas, but the historical record is clear. This was the act of one radicalized individual, not a coordinated movement. Chenault was arrested immediately. He was charged with first-degree murder. A jury convicted him. He was sentenced to death. But in a twist that reflects the King family's legacy, the sentence did not stand. Martin Luther King Sr. and the King family opposed the death penalty, even for the man who killed his wife and a beloved mother. As a result, Chenault's sentence was commuted to life in prison. He would die behind bars in 1995. Over time, Alberta King's murder has been misrepresented, politicized, and sometimes weaponized online. Some stories strip away context, others exaggerate ideological connections, others ignore her humanity entirely. She was a woman at church on Sunday morning. Her death reminds us that extremism of any kind destroys innocent lives. And it reminds us that violence doesn't always come wearing the face people expect. Alberta Williams King is buried at Southview Cemetery in Atlanta, alongside her husband and son. She is remembered not for how she died, but for how she lived. A woman of faith, a mother, a servant to her community. Her story deserves to be told accurately, respectfully, and without distortion. Because history isn't just about heroes and villains. Sometimes it's about the quiet people whose lives were shattered by violence and whose names we should never forget.